Welcome to the Movie Draft Podcast. I'm Ethan Simi, and today I am joined by my co-host, Sophie Holsinger.
Hello, everyone.
And a returning wonderful guest, Kevin Mikos.
Hello, hello.
And today we are drafting movie quotes in a regular style draft. Kevin, welcome back to the pod, man. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. I'm so excited to be returning. This is like, I never knew if I'd be back here again. There's so many drafts I want to do.
I will say both episodes, now the first one and now this one, now that you're returning, have actually been your idea. So, of course, I have to ask, do you feel more pressure coming onto the show knowing that you presented this idea to us and we were just, so generous to accept it?
Yeah. I don't know if I feel pressure. I'm like happy that you guys roll with my ideas and that you want me to pick my own episodes for a podcast that I don't host. It's like really exciting that you like me this much, but I don't know if I feel pressure. No, I think the fact that I get to pick the categories means that I'm pretty confident in the categories. So I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I think we have some really good categories in store. I don't want to spoil anything quite yet. We'll get into the draft quite soon, I'm sure. Sophie, we just recorded last night, actually. This pod obviously doesn't drop for another little bit, but you and I recorded last night. We're in a double dip here on recording nights.
Yes,
are
we are.
Are you still enjoying the pod, or are you sick of it by now?
No, I'm no longer enjoying our podcast. No, of course I am. I am once again just not prepped enough, Like I chose to do other things. We've been busy, So
What does that mean? We've been busy. Don't put me in this group. I don't know about. I mean, I've been busy too, but sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I just got done washing the car with my daughters, and I was telling Kevin right before we recorded that half of my clothing is wet, and I'm sitting in a really hot shed. For people who don't know, I record in a shed. So I'm also drinking a double shot of espresso on an empty stomach. So all of this to say, anything's possible in this draft. I don't even know the energy that I'm bringing into this draft. And I was like, we've been DMing for, probably about a week now, a couple of weeks, trying to get ready for this and figure out the categories and kind of what the box is for movie quotes and what we're going to do. And honestly, in the last 90 minutes, all of that got thrown out the window, and we'll see what happens. Anything's possible here on the Movie Draft Pod. So I got to ask you guys, we're drafting movie quotes instead of direct movies. Now, of course, with the movie quotes are the movies that are associated with those quotes. Kevin, I'll start with you. Do you have a good memory for movie quotes? Do certain movie quotes stick with you the first time you watch a film? Obviously, you suggested this topic, so you must have a passion of some sort for specific quotes.
Such a movie quote guy. I love a good quote. Half of my Letterboxd reviews are me just pulling my favorite quote from a movie and making it the review. Like I mean, you guys know that I care about good writing, so obviously good quotes go hand in hand with that. But it's like I did notice that when I started preparing for this pod, after I said I wanted to do it, it's kind of like when you go on a date with somebody and they ask you to tell them about you and you have no idea what to say, like you don't know anything about you. I started looking for quotes and I was like, I cannot think of a single one of my favorite quotes. Like I know there's so many that I'm gonna miss on this list, but I tried to over prepare. I tried to get all the quotes that I possibly could think of.
You did DM us, and a little kind of like reveal behind the curtain here for the listeners. We originally were going to record this in 6 days time. So all of us were like, sweet, we have time to prepare and we're good to go. And then we're all like, something came up and we can't make that happen anymore. Let's record in 18 hours. So that's really where we're at as a group. So Kevin, you talk about preparation. You sent us a group message that was like, just got to narrow down my 100 plus movie quotes. And I was like, oh, I'm fucked.
Classic
This draft
Kevin.
is already over before it began.
You would think so, but the problem is similar to the last draft, which I was over prepared for. I still lost because my picks are me picks, and people don't want to go with the me picks. So I'm gonna start pulling quotes that nobody has ever heard of, and it's gonna screw me over anyway. So you would think, but it's like 5 quotes that everybody recognizes and 100 quotes that nobody would think of.
That is part of the strategy that I've been considering here. How pop culture, how mainstream do you have to get with the quotes? Sophie, I want to ask you the same question.
Mhm.
Are you a movie quote girly? Do they stick with you? Do you resonate with certain movie quotes, or is it harder for you to maybe remember or pull things from movies?
I think that I'm a big quote girl. In preparation for this draft, visited the depths of my Pinterest boards where I have like really sappy, like movie quotes pinned on there from like, all the way back to like high school. Like it was scary looking back on those. But I feel like a lot of quotes stick with me. And I honestly didn't do a ton of like looking on the internet at like I normally would kind of look up like lists of things that we like based on the topic we're doing. But yeah, I kind of just pulled them from the depths of my brain, the depths of my Pinterest board. Some of them are still a bit basic just cuz they're classic and they stick with me. But yeah, I love a quote. I really do.
So what you're saying is you're overqualified for this draft. That's what I heard
No.
out of that
Nuh-uh.
entire thing.
No.
That's 100%
Not
where
what
we're
I
at right now.
said. That's not what I
Two
said.
people that are overqualified, and then you just got me who's just like, let's fucking ball. Like, let's talk about movies, you know? So movie quotes are tough for me because there are two things with movies that I just like, I have to admit to myself, I have to admit to everybody else, like, they're just not my thing. Even though I live and breathe movies and film, one of those things is like fan casting or changing things about movies. People are all the time are like, oh, like fan cast the next Ocean's movie, and I go blank and I'm like, I don't know a single actor. Like, I don't know, you tell me. And so I can't do it. That's one of my faults. The other one is movie quotes. I don't think I have a good brain. I gotta be honest here. Like, I don't think my brain holds a lot of helpful information. It's just really pod takes is what like 90% of my brain. So I have a hard time with movie quotes. I did have to do a lot of digging. I had to do a lot of research, had to do a lot of lists, a lot of videos out there with some good helpful things. Of course, IMDb. I kind of started my strategy going into like preparation for this draft was, okay, what are like my favorite movies of all time? Let's just look them up on IMDb. See if like we spark any scenes, any memories of certain things being said. Now, with that comes the other question, of course. What makes a good quote? What do you look for in a good movie quote? Kevin, do you look for something specific?
I think there's like two kinds. It's either and they could be good in either direction. Like it could just be really good writing, which is probably usually not like an iconic, memorable line. It's just like in the context of the movie, something that like really hits home, or the iconic lines, which are like more often than not like combining other factors. Like a great performance makes an iconic line, right?
Mhm.
Like Terminator lines wouldn't be iconic if it wasn't for Arnold, like that kind of thing. So like stuff like that, like there's two groups. It's either like really well written or just really iconic because everything else comes together.
Wow. That was so
That's an
smart where I
incredible
just like
answer.
my smooth brain kind of glossed over and I was like, wow, Kevin's too smart to be on the pod. Holy cow. Wow, that was really profound, Kevin. What about you, Sophie? What do you look for in a movie quote?
Yes, okay, I would echo everything Kevin said, and also I feel like a lot of the quotes I was pulling kind of encompassed the movie as a whole, like, it was kind of
Hmm.
a one line that just kind of represented the theme in, like, a very profound way, and those always stick with me. But yeah, a lot of mine are, like, very romantic and sappy.
Mm.
And I mean, my favorite kinds of movies are movies that are filled with yearning and longing. And I feel like that's where a lot of my favorite writing stems from. So that's personally where some of my best quotes come from.
I feel like I'm right in between the theory that both of you have. I feel like it does really depend on not only like the actor and the performance, but kind of like all of the circumstances around what is happening with the movie quote. But also, Sophie, like I agree with you because the timelessness of certain things can just be taken out of the film and applied like to life or to other things, or they're timeless. They are not kind of stricken just to that film or that movie. So I think it'll be an interesting draft, to say the least. Strategy. Let's talk a little bit of strategy here, because in my prep work, I couldn't quite figure out a strategy. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't really know how to do this, and I really do think this is kind of the first draft, and we are now on episode 25, the first episode of July here, July 2024, that I have not really had a particular direction of where I'm going to go. Kevin, do you have a strategy that you're going to try to execute?
So my strategy is kind of dependent on the two of you, because my game plan going into this was get all my quotes together, but I pulled quotes that fit into like the two kind of categories I told you, either quotes that I like really personally like because I just think they're good quotes, but then I also got a big group of just like super iconic, like everybody recognizes them kind of quotes. And I'm going to have to make a few personality picks. Like I'm going to have to pick some quotes that maybe aren't as iconic, but if I'm going to get some of the obvious stuff out of the way first, and then I'm going to see what you guys are picking. And if you guys are like leaning in the iconic direction, then I'll lean that way so I could get the fan vote. But if you're picking like smarter quotes, then I'll pick the cool options, you know. I'm gonna bounce off of you.
Yeah.
No pressure at all in our direction at all. That's great. That's really exciting. Cool. That really honestly is the antithesis of my strategy, which is like, I don't know, sounds cool. Like that's where I'm at right now, of wherever my heart chooses in that moment, when both of you are looking into my soul and saying, Ethan, hurry the fuck up and stop talking and make a pick. We'll see what happens. Sophie, what's your strategy?
Yeah, I don't really have one. I mean, I know what categories that I want to go first because some are slimmer than others for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree with Kevin. I kind of did a mix of like quotes that feel personal to me and then quotes that feel iconic in the culture. So I kind of wanted to have a mix, but yeah, it kind of just depends on where you two go. So I guess we're all kind of dependent on each other here. Who's going to set the tone?
With all of that being said, that's a great question, Sophie. That's where I'm leading next. First pick, first round, first draft pick overall, obviously the tone setter, as we know here on the Movie Draft Podcast. Do either of you want the first pick? Like, are you eyeing to set the tone in a certain direction? Because there are obviously massive movie quotes that are like on the Hall of Fame. They're on the Mount Rushmore of cinema movie quotes. And should those be picked first?
So the problem is that you mentioned the massive movie quotes, but there's like 500 of them and there's like 18 picks between us. So it's not like we're going to run out of massive movie quotes. I do know, the only part of my strategy I do know is that the quote that I am taking in the first round is not like, I know what I have locked in for the first round, and that is not changing. So, and it's probably not the most iconic quote.
Oh, interesting.
But I need to get it off the board because, you know, strategy.
What about you, Soph?
I mean, I think there's a clear like first pick for me, and I would like the first pick, which I never do. Like,
yeah, interesting.
I kind of like being on the turn and doing two in a row and being very in control in that moment. But I don't know, I'm a little scared that we all want the same things, so I'd like to go first.
Wow. That was my next question. Are we afraid that each other are going to dip into each other's buckets here? Kevin, you mentioned how many movie quotes there are. I just don't foresee us overlapping a whole lot. But then again, we do have some similar movie tastes, like, especially when it comes to screenplays. I think we all do intersect in like what we look for and what we connect with. So I'm curious if this draft will be a draft of steals, a draft of stealing things, or if it will just be like, cool, like I got the 6 that I'm happy with, because we all know last week on the draft things were too nice, and I want to get a little bit more vicious here this week. Sophie, I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you.
I
could
know.
get vicious. I could get it. In my preparation, I wrote down a lot of Sophie quotes. I don't think I'm going to pick any of them,
Nice.
but I
Nice.
not all of my categories, a number of my categories have movies that I know Sophie would draft quotes from. And I did that on purpose, specifically to steal some, but I don't actually think I'm going to do it.
I think you should, and I think we should team up
Oh
and try
my
to take Sophie
God.
down. I think that I was texting Sophie earlier, and I was like, what about this movie? I know you like this one. What about that one? I was just, trying to get in your head a little bit. It's as much about on-pod strategy as it is about the moments between the pods. Let's just be honest with each other. So we'll see how things play out. My last question to you guys before we draft is this is not a movie monologue draft. This is not a movie conversation draft. This is a movie quote draft. So I think it's only fair and only right that we have a nice little round table briefly about what distinguishes a quote from a non-quote. So I think we have all established kind of in our group chat that it has to be a single character speaking. You cannot have 2 characters kind of exchanging words. But the question I pose to you guys is, like, what's the length limit here? Are we looking at a character limit, a word limit, or are we just going on vibes of like, yeah, it feels right for a quote?
I think a bit of feels right. I have some quotes that are on the longer side, but they're not monologue. Like, I know they're not monologues, like they might be a couple lines, but it's like, it's all one concise thought that happens really quickly. And then there's movies where people talk fast too. You got to keep that in mind. I'm hinting at a very specific movie, but like there's movies where people talk really fast and they say a lot. So I don't know. I think it's a vibes thing.
So what about taking one line from a monologue?
I think that's fine.
This is a great question. This is kind of why I'm asking this.
Okay.
I think that's cool.
Is a quote as important or powerful or successful without the context around it? Because I'm not sure that it is all the time.
Yeah, I think some can be, but I know like there were some quotes that I pulled from my brain that I was like, that doesn't super make sense without the like back and forth or without like the lines that came before it. So I agree with Kevin. It's kind of just like we'll feel it out. And yeah, I mean, if it's a complete quote, then that's fine. I don't
You
know.
can't really separate
We'll
them
see.
from their context either, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like when people look at the quotes and they're voting on them, they're gonna know the context if they know the movie. So it's like the quotes exist with it, like in their context anyway.
To me, that is what makes a top tier quote like pickable in this draft is, can you gather the tone, the message, the story, the scene, the film, all from this one quote? Like, does it do a good job of being what it needs to be? And again, I think that plays into the idea of like this iconic quote versus like, I don't know, I just like the way they said it, or I like what this is, or it's funny to me, or what have you. So I think there's a lot of things that could determine how we all pick. Are you guys ready to go through the rules? Ready to spin for our draft spots?
I'm
Ready.
locked in.
Sick. Okay, cool. I'm not ready at all, but this is going to be great. And if I get the first round pick, I might bungle this whole thing. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm telling you guys, I'm warning you. You should be thankful I'm being so nice. Things might not go the way you think. Okay, so we are drafting a regular draft. Now, of course, that means we're going to be drafting in a snake style to each put together a team of 6 films from which we will be selecting a single quote. Yet to be determined how we're going to put out a graphic for this, but I have like 10 days to figure that out. So we
Very
will
small
see.
font, probably.
Yeah, like we're talking like size 3 font here. I'm going to have people really go 200% on their iPhones. So we'll have 6 categories. Here are the categories. Animated feature, screenplay Oscar nomination. Now that does encompass original or adapted. A lot to choose from there. Blockbuster, $100 million plus at the domestic box office. Drama, action, horror, comedy. We've kind of smushed those 2 categories into one. And then, of course, we have a wild card category. How prudent do you think it would be for me to pull wild card first? You guys think that's good? Good idea? Good vibe?
I almost did it in my strategy. I'm not gonna lie.
This is what I love to hear, Kevin.
Because there's one quote that I know I'm picking, and so with my strategy, I was like, if I just get that one out of the way, then I could see what you guys take after, because I already know that one's coming off no matter what. So
Okay.
Okay. Well, once a movie quote is selected from a movie, that movie is off the board entirely. So you cannot select another quote from the movie. Obviously, there are probably hundreds of films which you could argue have 2, 3, 5 quotes. There are definitely a few movies that come to mind that I wrote down on my short list where I'm like, there's 4 quotes that I want from this movie. If I can pick it, which quote am I going to pick? Which another like little wrinkle to the strategy. Like, does it matter which quote you pick from a movie, or is it just the film overall that really, really counts the most? We're going to find out. Okay. Are you guys ready to spin for our spots here on the draft?
I'm so nervous.
I'm like sweating.
Wow. You guys, I don't know if I've been this like worried about a draft for a really long time. Okay. I have it up. I'm going to share with you guys. We are now spinning the spinner. I honestly hope it's not me. So we're in good. Oh. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Kevin is going to get the very first pick. Seems a little rigged, but that's okay. We'll bypass that. Oh, perfect.
Oh my God.
This is great. Exactly what Sophie didn't want. I love to see it. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of energy we need on this draft. We need to be mean to each other. I love it. Kevin, I said K and Kevin at the same time. Kevin, you are up first. I will be drafting second, and Sophie will be third at the turn. We'll see if that turn turns out to be beneficial. I feel like sometimes it comes in handy. All right, Kevin, you're just rolling with your one? You mentioned like you have one that you want to pick.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. There's 2. There's one quote that I want to pick no matter what, and then there's one that I'm going to pick first because it's the category that I need to get out of the way. And that category is animated movies, obviously, because I only had like 3 options, and I want to make sure that one of those does not get picked. Otherwise, my options kind of stink. And I almost just like last minute changed my mind, but I kind of have to just stick with my favorite animated movie for the sake of it. So I'm going to go The Lion King. And I'm going to take... Should I just read the whole quote?
Read the whole quote.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, "Oh, yes, the past can hurt, but from the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it."
Going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Which I think is the best quote in The Lion King, and I'm sure most people will agree. Almost went with something a little more iconic, but I got to pick my favorite animated movie. So,
wow, I didn't know you loved The Lion King.
I almost brought my little stuffed Simba on the podcast for you guys. He's in the closet back there. Yeah,
big Lion King guy.
I've had it since I was literally born. I think. I don't think I've ever not had my stuffed Simba. So
cute.
That's some real like heart to heart with the voters right there. That is some real Kevin lore. Like first pick, you're like, yeah, guys, this one means a lot to me. It'd be great if you just like voted for me. That's what I'm feeling. The way this draft is gonna go. Shoot. Well, it's a really profound quote from obviously a very popular animated film. I have not seen The Lion King in my adulthood. I'm sure I saw it as a child. I just unfortunately have like zero connection to this movie. So yeah, I have no soul. What are you gonna do?
The Lion King's cool.
Right.
It was my fun fact about The Lion King is that it was my parents' first date was to go see The Lion King. So that's sweet.
Wow. Shout out Sophie's mom.
like-
Huge supporter of the pod.
Yeah,
always love her.
The
getting at
biggest
us.
fan of the pod. Biggest fan of the pod.
I was a
Listeners,
fan of my Showgirls pick, though.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But just to let listeners of the pod know, if you listen to last week's episode, my parents listened to that episode and immediately ordered me a copy of Purple Rain. And it is on the way to my apartment right now. So I guess I'm watching Purple Rain. Congrats to Ben.
God, Ben catching W's off the pod is unbelievable
Yeah,
stuff
for
to
real.
me. It's not okay. Okay. This brings me to me. And quite honestly, in preparing for this draft, I knew that I would come to this situation where it's just like I honestly don't know where I want to go. But much like you, Kevin, I'm a little bit worried about animated. I'm a little bit worried. And I only have a few things to choose from. I do feel like I am pretty happy with my selections for all other categories. So, what am I going to pick? I'm actually going to go in drama. And I'm going to take Casablanca. I'm going to take We'll Always Have Paris.
Leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we lost
Fuck
it.
you.
Sick. We fucking did it. Yeah. I
You're the
feel
worst.
so happy right now. I can't even express it. That's all I need out of this draft. That's it. It's just vibes for me the rest of the recording. This is great stuff. I've only seen a clip of this actually. I've never seen Casablanca. I don't really know who Rick is. Something about a gin joint. Is that right, Sophie? Am I getting the film right?
I can't even speak. I can't even speak.
This is a good bit because I don't know if you're telling the truth or not.
I know. I was gonna say Kevin looks really confused, and I feel like I've successfully pulled off the bit. It's a win on all fronts. I love Casablanca. I've seen it several times. It's out in the theater last summer. Great time. This is the movie that I alluded to having I had 3 different quotes that I was potentially like going to pull from. I had written down of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world, she walks into mine. I think that's a little bit deeper of a Casablanca cut that might not resonate as well for the graphic, like for the results. So I felt like I had to go with something a little bit more predominant. And We'll Always Have Paris is probably like, I don't know, a top 10 movie quote of all time. So it's on my team and it's not on your team, Sophie.
Oh my God. Okay, it wasn't my first pick, but I did really want of all the gin joints. Like that quote just really, really hits me. But I'm just happy that it's here. Look, me being nice.
You got to stop this. I do literally the worst thing possible to you. And you're like, cool.
No,
awesome.
No, I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm happy with that pick.
All right. So I have 2 in a row. Okay, I'm liking where this is right now. I'm liking the vibes right now. All right, well, I have to take a quote from my favorite movie of all time, which is The Social Network.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly was agonizing over which one I was going to choose because similar to Ethan, like I feel like there's a lot of deep cuts in The Social Network. There's a lot of quotes that I really, really like, but I don't know if like the general audience really would even recognize them as a quote from The Social Network. Like, I love dating you is like dating a Stairmaster. I love like the Marlins and the Trout. Like, there's just so many things that like I could recite this whole movie. But I feel like for the purpose of this draft, I have to go with My Prada's at the Cleaners, along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag.
You parade around in your ridiculous suits pretending you were running this company?
Sorry, my Prada's at the Cleaners, along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag.
Security's here. You'll be leaving now.
Just so good. Like,
it's pretty good. Are you taking this in drama? This is where you're taking this?
I'm taking it in screenplay, Oscar nom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yay.
I had about 6 Social Network quotes written down. I was very prepared to take the Social Network in one of these rounds, but I knew you were gonna do it. That's the one I actually like genuinely thought I might steal from you. But I was gonna do a deeper cut. I was gonna do if you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a really
That's a
good
good one. I also thought about the water under the Golden Gate Bridge is freezing cold. Like, oh,
Yeah.
gosh, this script is just full of gems.
Maybe the most quotable movie ever, although it's got some competition. But
Yeah, it's one of them. It's like I did write a list of movies down that I was like, I would call these the most quotable movies ever. And those are the ones that I kind of want to have on my team. So that was definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, pretty good flick. I feel like this draft is kind of like watching a really good fan edit of movies on like TikTok or YouTube or whatever, where you're like, oh, cool, I just locked in for 30 seconds, so I guess I'll just flip that on because that one quote got to me.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sophie. Like we've done it. Might fire up the social network tonight. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Just narrowed down my category for me too. I just went in my notes and deleted like 5 quotes from the social network. So makes my next pick easier.
Well, you're welcome. Okay, my next quote, this was one that I had to have too. So very happy that it's here. I really don't know if like I mean, this is an iconic quote. Like I think everyone knows it, but I don't know if it's something that either of you necessarily would have wanted. But in Blockbuster, I am going to leave the gun, take the cannoli from The Godfather.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Damn. That's
And this is one of the quotes that I was kind of talking about at the beginning of like, it's so simple, it is so sweet, and it's kind of the whole point of the movie. Like it kind of just culminates like everything about The Godfather, and I love it. And the line reading's great. Just a great quote. I love cannolis too. I'm on the record about that.
Such a good pick. That's such a good pick. I was gonna take I only wanted to take I'm gonna make him an offer I can't refuse because he can't refuse because I know it's like the iconic one and would get me the votes. But man, you just stole 2 of my like top 10 picks.
Yay.
I did
My plan is
forget to tell you guys. I forgot to tell you at the top of the pod. You have to do them in the voice. So we're gonna have to. So if we're gonna have to run it back, if you could just like,
oh gosh,
give
I was
me a
nervous that
few
you were gonna
veto,
make me do
give me some
accents.
veto quotes. That'd be great.
All of my quotes
happening.
are impressions that I can't do for the record, so I'm not gonna attempt any of them.
You're out. Okay. Yeah. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. I will say, if you go to the Godfather's IMDb page, you know, they have the quotes section. They generally will display one, and you have to click in for the rest of them. The one displayed is leave the gun, take the cannoli. So I think even though it seems like there is a more popular one, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. I think this one is like the more true Godfather quote. It is really, really good stuff. I don't know. Might fire up the Godfather tonight. I have a double bill. The Social Network and the Godfather. Is that a good double bill?
Long double bill.
Like, what am I locking in for like 6 hours?
Yeah, it'll take some time, but it'll be worth it for sure.
That would be when I own my own cinema. That'll be the Saturday morning bill. We'll start with the Godfather and with the Social Network, a little cooler. Alrighty. That brings me back to my pick. Interesting. There is one that I thought you were going to go with in action horror comedy, Sophie, that you did not take. So I'm curious if on the turn you go for it. I just feel like there's too many things up in the air that make like stealing things from each other not worth it. Shoot. This is no good. I'm looking at like literally 75 quotes on my list here. Can't choose. Can't figure it out.
Can't either.
Oh,
you need to take your time because I got 2 picks after you and I don't know what I'm choosing.
So you're saying I should speed through this pick very quickly and we'll just sidebar any conversation, get right to you. That's what we're going.
I do best under pressure. So if you want to do that to me,
okay.
I'll clutch up. I'll figure it out. But
no, I can't do it. To me, screenplay is the category I'm least concerned with. I have the most amount of possible picks there. Blockbuster, I'm a little concerned about Blockbuster because even though you can find some stuff kind of like nestled in there, I'm looking at a list of blockbusters and I'm looking at like Furious 7, Thor: Love and Thunder, Hunger Games Part 1. Like, it's all IP, baby. And it's a tough time out there on the blockbuster road. But there is a movie that I think qualifies for blockbuster. If you guys could maybe just give me one moment to Google this so I can not have you guys debate me on this, that would be sweet.
Right. So for blockbuster, I went with like I specifically didn't even look up the box offices because I went with like the tried and true definitional blockbusters. I was like, if I'm gonna pick a quote for a blockbuster,
Okay.
I'm gonna pick like an iconic, like big event movie quote.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
I only have 2 options for blockbusters, and they're both like huge
Whoa.
movies.
Okay.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well. Okay. Well,
I hope you don't pick
I'm
one.
gonna steal your strategy a little bit, Kevin. I'm gonna play off of your vibes, and that kind of solidifies one of my picks. So I am gonna be picking in blockbuster, a movie that essentially started not only like modern day sci-fi filmmaking, but like kind of blockbusters. But like, I'm gonna be taking "May the Force Be with You" from Star Wars: A New Hope, 1977. Yeah.
Hey, Luke. May the Force be with you.
I just like, I don't know, like it's one of the most popular quotes of all time. Like, in theory, I could have taken it from, I guess, most Star Wars movies, if not all Star Wars movies. I'd be a little remiss if like there was a big Star Wars movie that didn't say "May the Force be with you." But I do think attaching it to Star Wars: A New Hope is the most like prominent, is the most powerful, is where it is born. It's where it's originated. And that's where that idea permeates for 60 years of filmmaking. So I hope that was one of your picks, Kevin.
It was not. But
Damn it.
But
Okay,
you tried.
I'm still happy. I'm still very happy.
I haven't watched the Star Wars movies in a long time now, so none of them are like really among my favorites. I'm sure they will be when I rewatch them, but it's been like years, so I'm not too worried about Star Wars quotes. It might win you the draft, though. I'll say that. The Star Wars fans, I imagine, make up a nice chunk of the voter base. You know, I mean, it's not really. There's not a bigger movie than Star Wars. So
I'll say the last time Star Wars was drafted on this pod, the person walked away with the draft. We'll just put it lightly.
see, if I had info if I had statistics like that, I probably would have changed up my strategy. I didn't know you had like
it's those in-house stats. I keep them behind locked bars over here.
Research.
Kind of basic though, no?
A little bit. Maybe that'll go against him.
Little basic, yeah, sure. I will give it to you that I have both Casablanca and Star Wars: A New Hope, like both very prominent historical like films, filmy films. So that could see me get a little taken aback in the voting, but again, like I still think they stand without the films. They still stand as
There's a whole day for May the
all-timers.
Force be with you. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice try. I deflect your dig. But Kevin now has 2 picks. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of liking this sandwich. I only have to think about one at a time. You guys have to think about 2, and I would just be out of sorts if I were you guys.
Yeah. So here's the situation: is like I said to you guys, I was gonna go off your vibe, and my next pick was going to be like a safe pick that I know I'm taking that is probably from a movie that neither of you have seen, but already you're taking quotes that are making me nervous that I'm going to get I have gotten picks stolen already. So now I'm like, I should probably save that till the end, except I don't know what to take now if I'm going to save that till the end. And I'm really stuck. And I think I'll go with my blockbuster pick next, but I'm between 2 quotes. Can we
Same
do like
movie
a
or
live? Can we do a
different
live
movies?
coin flip? No, different movies. Could we like?
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if I could flip a coin on my phone really quick and.
You don't carry
and
physical
get an
coins with
answer.
you at all times, Kevin?
No, I do not.
This is where we're lacking. I don't have a producer that could bring us in a French dollar. Unfortunately, where I could flip it.
The coin landed on heads, and I feel like the heads option is going to get me less votes, but it's the movie I like more, so I'm going to go with it because it's my favorite blockbuster.
Stick
ever.
to it.
I'm picking a quote from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I'm doing
Nice.
no. I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Yep.
Love it.
This was absolutely on my very, very short list.
Yeah, it was between this and I'm gonna say the movie. Maybe it'll get drafted. It was between this and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Cool. Okay.
Not the quote you would
Fascinating.
think. Not the quote you would think of though. But I'm not gonna say it till the end because I don't want to mess with
I
the draft.
can't. I love Harry Potter. I don't rewatch them very often, but I could not tell you one single quote from that film. So I'm intrigued if you go back to that well. Jurassic Park had to be picked. I feel like had to be talked about here. I had this, and I had Hold On to Your Butts. I think I tell that to my kids all the time, and they're still young enough to where they will reply and say, I can't hold on to my butt. And I'm like, oh, you guys are cute. Also, like, when are we watching T-Rexes maul people? So I'm really caught between a rock and a hard place here, but great pick, Kevin. Jurassic Park, all-timer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Kevin, I was hoping you'd take this. I know it's one of your favorites.
Yeah.
When I was looking at my favorite movies and I was like, okay, I need to pick something from Jurassic Park, my mind went to Dinosaurs Eat Man, Woman Inherits the Earth.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is one of the quotes that does better when you have the like conversation of the two lines together. Like that doesn't hit as hard on its own. But yeah, great pick. I love Jurassic
and this
Park.
one also just has the Goldblum delivery. I didn't even do it in the quote, but really there really should be the like the pause between life finds a way.
Finds a way.
Yeah, because it's just perfect. Like it's the best delivery maybe of any quote ever. So yeah, this is kind of a must.
Really good.
Yeah.
I have another pick though, which I didn't consider until 2 seconds ago.
I didn't consider that either. I thought it was coming back to me, and I was scrubbing my list. So I think we're all on the same wavelength here, where we're just petrified to make a pick.
Yep.
Okay, so now that I got that one out of the way, that takes like a little bit of pressure off me, except I'm really like stuck. Like I'm like really stuck. So I think I'm gonna bet on myself a little bit and bet on the quotes not getting taken. And I'm gonna pick the one that was like a guarantee and hope that nothing gets taken on the way back to me and I have some more time to think. So in drama, I'm going to pick a quote from one of my favorite movies, a Nicholas Ray movie called In a Lonely Place. And the quote is, I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me.
I was born when she kissed me. I died when she left me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me.
Wow. I
Probably
like
the
that.
best
That
quote
is sensational.
That is great. Now I'm watching that movie tonight.
Literally, like for people who haven't seen the movie, which I imagine is like a decent chunk of people, it's like it doesn't get better than that. I watched that movie and like immediately I was like, this is maybe the best script for any movie ever. It's
Wow.
so good. And it is like Nicholas Ray, famously kind of ahead of his time, making movies in like the 1950s that were incredibly progressive for the time. They're kind of progressive for right now, never mind the 1950s. That movie, when you watch it, Sophie, and anybody else who watches it, probably the single best ending to a movie ever. Just putting it out there.
Oh, this is interesting. Didn't you just put this on your Letterboxd top 4?
I did. Yeah, I updated my top 4 and then
look at me. Look at me out here in the streets knowing my opponents.
Yeah, researching my Letterboxd.
We know. It looks like it's available on Prime Video, but I don't know if that's a rental or free. But obviously, try to buy it. You know, physical media rules.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I have the Criterion copy. Worth getting.
Okay.
So you're saying we are recording this before the Barnes & Noble Criterion 50% off sale. Are you saying I should add this to my wish list?
I am saying that everybody should be in possession of this movie because it's one of the best movies you'll ever watch.
Wow.
That's what I'll say.
I hope that Criterion puts out their data and is like, wow, we saw a 6,000% jump in A Lonely Place. Who is responsible for this?
Okay,
Get
I
sourced right back
I get
here.
a little share of the profit. I could use that.
right back to K Meeks. Okay. Dang, you got some really good quotes. Based on two, like your Lion King quote and then the one you just pulled, I don't have anything good. Is where I've landed. I haven't gone for anything deep.
Kevin, are you not going to mention that you're wearing a Jurassic Park shirt right now?
Oh, I wore this for the draft and I completely
Wow.
forgot because
True Parkhead.
I wanted to make sure I got the Jurassic Park pick, and I didn't even
There
make
you go.
I didn't even make a point to call out. But thank you for reminding me. That was, my head got scrambled when I was struggling for picks. I forgot about my Jurassic Park T-shirt.
Oh man, what do you guys think? Do you think it's important to have like a deep quote like that? Like, do you need to have something that is like, pulling at heartstrings, or can you just have fun shit on your team?
I think you could just have fun. I mean, fun ones are going to get the votes probably, but like I said, my whole thought process going into this was I need the "in a lonely place" quote because it's just the best quote ever. And then I could do like everything else could be fun after I have that. I don't know. I feel like one on the team to round it out doesn't hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I'm stuck between two that I'm going to pick up for screenplay. Is this really where I want to go? Let me double check. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this. Okay. I'm going to go with screenplay nominee. And I'm caught between two. I will not be flipping a coin. I will actually be deciding with my brain here. My brain that, let's be clear, is less effective than a coin. So Kevin, you made the right choice. I'm going south on this one. Two movies that I really love. One of them is older. One of them is much more new. But I think I'm going to go with... shit. It's one that I personally really like. So I feel like I'm in your shoes, Kevin. Where I'm like, I really like this one. I don't know if it'll resonate the same with other people. But then I think there's one out there that's more popular.
It's a tough position to be in.
Yeah. Sophie, you got a take? Do I go popular? I feel I already have two popular quotes.
You have two popular quotes. Yeah.
You have the most popular quote in like
the most
history
popular
of
quote.
movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I set the bar really high. I can't like risk dipping in quality. That's my problem.
Yeah, but will not having a great quote affect your team in the end? Won't the quality dip if you don't have any hard hitters?
Yeah. No, that's true. Shit, wow, you really made me think. I was pretty locked into a choice, Kevin, and you just backed me out of that choice.
No, don't let me influence you. I'm just a guy with opinions.
Damn. Okay, I'm gonna go with the more recent one. I'm gonna go with the one that's closer to my heart. And on the end of the draft, when we get to the end, if the other one's not picked, we'll definitely talk about it because it's from one of my favorite movies of all time. But I'm gonna go in screenplay. I'm gonna take a quote from Past Lives. I'm gonna say, "You make my world so much bigger, and I'm wondering if I do the same for you."
It's just that you make my life so much bigger, and I'm wondering if I do the same thing for you.
I think when I saw Past Lives for the first time, I like even saying that now, it kind of like breaks me a little bit, where I'm just like, oh wow, like I don't have that, that like cross culture connection with many people in my life, especially not my life partner, but like that idea permeates beyond that relationship so profoundly, where it's like, I don't know, this is how I feel. Like, do I resonate with you the same way? That's fucking crazy to me. Like, I've never thought about that until I saw that movie, and now I can't stop thinking about it. It's also said by our sad boy John McGarrow, so I gotta put John McGarrow on my list.
One of the great actors of our generation, finally getting his due credit.
Yeah.
I had 3 Past Lives quotes written down specifically because I thought Ethan was going to take one and I wanted to steal one. I wasn't planning on taking one, but I was like, if I'm going to steal something from Sophie, I need to have an Ethan pick as well.
Wow.
But yeah,
I feel so honored.
I think one of my Past Lives reviews is that quote, and completely agree with you, Ethan. Like, it is, that quote just hits so hard because it's like he is saying so much with so little, and like that concept of just like making someone's world bigger, like it hits harder than just saying like I love you. Like it's just like that unrequited
Mm.
feeling. Ugh, it's so good.
I mean,
I love that quote.
many of the best quotes are just people rewording "I love you." That's like half
Mm-hmm.
of the best quotes
Yeah.
ever.
Totally.
It's a good call. Well, I feel like I veered in the right direction of getting something emotional and weighty, and
Mm-hmm.
I think
And
quite
recent.
relevant and like
Recognizable.
recent, and like
Yeah.
people will know this quote for
And
sure.
Ben Lawhorn's vote.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I feel good. A lockdown Benny Burrito here on the pod. Yeah, him and I. One of the few things we share is our love for John McGarr. I will say that. Kevin, I know you love First Cow. We love First Cow.
Great movie.
Fantastic
Great
film.
movie.
More people need to see it. All right, Sophie, you've got the double. We're just about halfway through the draft. How are you feeling going into the back half?
I love my team so far, and I'm scared of ruining it. I am.
Welcome to my world. It's a tough cross to bear.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna go in action horror comedy because that was the category that I feel like I had the most trouble with. Um, I'm gonna go with something pretty basic, something that's memed pretty often, but I just love it, and I love this movie a lot, and it'll get me some votes, I'm pretty sure. So from Spider-Man, I'm gonna go with, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Peter, may I introduce my father, Norman Osborn?
Heard so much about you.
Great honor to meet you, sir.
Harry tells me you're quite the science whiz. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I read all
It's a
your
good thing. I was so nervous that you were about to steal something from me.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, Willem Dafoe, one of the great actors, one of the great line readings. I just love him, and I needed something from him on here. And that's just a good one, a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic. I will say I have a meme of that says, you know what, I'm something of a cinephile myself. So you did it, Sophie. you picked a winner.
Hallelujah. All right. Okay. Next. Ethan, you don't have an animated film yet, right?
I do not. That's true. Are you
Honestly, okay,
eyeballing an animated film?
Honestly, no. Like my strategy was gonna be to just do animated last because it's
Fair.
kind of the category that I care about the least, and I kind of.
It seems we all don't care about animated, but we all
Like, why
decided
did
it's
we
a good
have it?
category. I don't know where we're at
This
on
was
that.
Sophie's idea, was it not? This
I
was
don't
your.
know why I said
I
that.
very easily would have swapped out the animated category for something else.
I think it would have been interesting, and I thought about this in the research process to swap animated with international. I thought that would have been something fascinating to do.
We could do a live swap if you want.
I would do a live swap.
Are you guys fucking high? You do a live like you want me to go through my international films and be like, what's a really good quote to draft?
I mean,
That's
I don't know
crazy.
about international, but we could swap. We could do a live swap of animated and just pull an extra one of our quotes. I'm game.
No, Kevin, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to Michael Scott my ass and change the location at the last minute. No, we're locked into animated. But I do think it's interesting because we all care so little. So I wonder, Kevin, you already chose yours. I wonder what Sophie and I will go with for animated.
Wonder if you guys will pick one of my few backups because I think they're pretty good, but there's not that many of them for me, at least in my research. There was not that many of them.
It's a weak
I feel
category.
like there are a lot of very iconic lines, but none that really like hit me personally.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna save that then.
Talk to you out of
So
it.
I guess I will do. Yeah, we'll save that for later. That's a later problem. Okay. I will go in drama then, and I will take. Ooh, I have so many. None of my drama quotes have been chosen. Ugh. All right, this is kind of a wild, risky pick. It's a quote from a monologue.
Oh,
and
interesting.
So I'm gonna have to like cut it down a little bit. But it's
sounds
gonna
sounds
be
like you might be pushing some boundaries here. I'm ready to throw down the hammer.
no. I'm gonna take "I Drink Your Milkshake" from There Will Be Blood.
If you have a milkshake, and I have a milkshake, and I have a straw, there it is. That's a straw, you see. Watching. And my straw reaches across the room and starts to drink your milkshake. I drink your milkshake. I drink it.
Yeah.
That's good.
It just, I don't know. Like, I watched There Will Be Blood probably like 3 years ago, and this scene is just so ingrained into my brain, and I honestly don't even remember like a lot of what happens in the movie, but this just sticks with me so much. And again, like, I knew a Daniel Day-Lewis quote needed to be on my list. I had a few in here. But I think this just one is just like silly and fun. While also being pretty freaking horrifying. So milkshakes.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Would it make you mad if I said I've never seen There Will Be Blood?
It'd be disappointing.
Wow. I mean, I'm just surprised.
I'm disappointed in myself, Kevin. So thank you very much for confirming my feelings. I did, in fact, like watch a highlight video of, like 50 best movie quotes. And obviously this one was on there. So I got a little bit of context. There Will Be Blood to me is kind of like, it's a movie that I feel like I have to have everything perfect to like sit down and watch this movie. I have to be in the right headspace. I have to like not have anything for the pod, not have anything for my real job. Like not be stressed out about anything else. Like I feel like I have to have the right settings, and they just haven't happened yet. But I don't know. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully. Great movie.
You'll like it, Ethan. Like, I'm excited.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a big DDL guy. Obviously Paul Dano's in there. Love to see that. I'm a PTA guy. So like all the stars are aligned. They're there. I just haven't ventured out to space yet. I'll get there. Okay. I've got animated, I've got action, horror, comedy, and I've got wild card. Alrighty. So here's where we get down to brass tacks about like, well, I kind of just like that quote situation, like the vibes of where I'm at. I feel like I have some pretty good hard hitters. So an action horror comedy, I'm going to be taking a quote that in one way or another I have tattooed on my body. So I feel like I owe it to this draft to have this. I will be taking, it is in fact kind of part of a bigger monologue, but I'll just be taking this sentence. The action is the juice from Heat.
Well, for me, the action is the juice. I'm in.
I can't not have that on my team. I can't not have it.
I have so many Heat quotes on my list.
Yes.
This just ruined everything for like the fourth time.
I would have not guessed you were locked in on the Heat radar.
Oh, that is like one of the best movies ever made. It's one of my favorite movies. I love Michael Mann. Heat is as good as a movie can possibly be. It's also super quotable. I thought, honestly, if somebody was going to take a Heat quote, I thought we might do, I'm not going to do an Al Pacino impression, but she's got a great ass.
She's got a great ass. That could be good. I also obviously considered
Heat Around the Corner.
Yeah, Heat Around the Corner. I also considered, what's a regular life? Fucking barbecues and ball games. That's an all-timer.
Quotes in that one.
There's a lot of good. Yeah, I mean, like who? What are you, a fucking owl? That would have been good shit to have on the board. But I think this is the quote that I love, and I have a juice box tattooed on me with action as the title. So I feel like,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I feel like we're there. We've come full circle. Gotta have Heat on the squad.
And one of my categories just got slimmer, so that's great.
Yes. Yes. The coffee is really pulling through for me. The manic energy is coming to be my
This is
savior.
good though. I mean, this makes me more decisive at least. So I'm not gonna take as long stalling now.
Yeah, I'm doing you a favor. Huge favor. All right. Well, you've got a double pick, Kevin. I did my single. I just get to sit back.
I don't like that. Okay. Here's my thought process. I'll just shout an honorable mention now. I'm assuming we're gonna do some later, but in the time it took between my picks, I realized that this one probably just isn't gonna get votes without the context, even though it is probably the single best quote on my list. But if you don't have the conversation, it's just not gonna work. And since you mentioned Heat, it's another Michael Mann movie from The Insider. I was going to do Ordinary People Under Extraordinary Pressure, Mike. What the hell do you expect? Grace and consistency. Kind of the best.
Why aren't you drafting that? You should draft that. That's
I just
so
don't.
good.
I just don't think that the people are going to go for. I don't know. Now you might talk me into picking it, but
I mean, okay. I will buy you like 90 more seconds, real quick, Kevin, because The Insider is an all-timer movie for me, just like a true blue masterpiece. And literally, my wife and I were driving from San Diego to Las Vegas on a road trip, like 5.5 hour drive, talking about whatever. And literally in the middle of our conversation, I was like, yo, The Insider, let's watch the courtroom scene real fast. And I just pulled it up on YouTube and just like threw it on in the car and forced her to watch it. And the boy, you got rights and lefts, ups and downs and middles, and then we elevate to wipe that smirk off your face. I was so fucking jacked driving on the freeway. The Insider fucking rules, man. You should draft something from it. Follow your heart. But I'm just saying,
I want to take it so bad, but the problem is I can't tell you two what the other two quotes I'm picking between are, because you're not going to be nice enough to help me make a decision. But they're also really good quotes, and that's the problem. Is like The Insider. I feel like people seeing the quote without any of the context just might not appreciate it for as good as it is. So I feel like I'm gonna pick one of my other two that are just kind of like they're just great when you read them on the page. Like you just know they're the best. I don't want to do another coin flip. I feel like that's getting a little ballsy. I feel like I'm taking too many risks. So I'm just gonna go with the gut and pick, I guess, the less iconic of the two quotes, but probably the better one, which is from Erin Brockovich. I'm going to take "That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet and fucking ugly shoes."
Okay, look, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet and fucking ugly shoes.
That's good.
That's good. What category are you taking that in?
I'm going to take it in screenplay nominee.
Okay. Nice.
My other quote was so iconic, and I know people would eat it up, but I'll save it for honorable mentions if it doesn't get taken.
Never seen this movie.
Never seen it.
You've never seen? Oh, you would love Erin Brockovich. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good.
I don't have a lot to say, obviously, as I haven't seen it. I wanted to watch it for quite a long time. I think Julia Roberts in this era is maybe the most beautiful movie star that's ever existed. Like it's unbelievably unfair how gorgeous she is, just in general. And obviously this movie exemplifies that. Okay, it's
kind of her movie. It's one of the performances, and I'm not doing the quote justice because I can't possibly do it as good as Julia Roberts. But when you hear her saying it, you will understand.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got wild card and I've got animated left. I'm really not worried about animated because I have a really popular quote that's still on the board. Actually, like a couple popular quotes that are still on the board. I also have one that I want to go with, like kind of a heart pick. So I think I'm going to save that. And if one of you manage to find that quote, like, I think we just don't air this pod and you guys win like every other pod that ever exists because it's so deep. So I'm going to go with wild card. And fuck, there are so fucking many that I want. It's kind of unbelievable. But I would be mad at myself if I didn't stay true to who I am, to who I have grown to be. And that means that I will be taking in wild card. I can't believe I'm going to do this.
Oh my God.
I can't. I'm going to be taking a quote from Uncut Gems. Holy shit, I'm going to come.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
I think that is just peak cinema. I don't know what else to tell you. I think that is as good as it gets. And I don't think we should make any movies after that. We've won.
I knew you were gonna pick that.
This is my not because of Uncut Gems. This is just my go-to saying after I have a good meal. This is just
this is good. This is good stuff. I try to watch how many times I say it around the house, little
Right.
children's ears and whatnot.
Yeah,
but this is an all-timer for me, for sure. It's just so good. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like and like you get the look up from Adam Sandler and like the zoom in of the camera, and you get like the really energetic score. And you're just like in that moment, so locked into the movie where you're like, this guy's a fucking degenerate. How exciting. So had to have it. Had to have it.
Okay. That was good, Ethan.
Thank you. Gosh,
Yeah, I
thank you.
love
It
that
feels,
pick.
feels so good. Sometimes
a
it
fun
does
one.
feel good to stay true to your heart, you know?
Yeah.
Don't go chasing the votes, as they say.
Listen, this draft would be a lot different if I stayed to my heart, but I have the receipts.
Me
Okay,
too.
I remember the 14% fan vote. Okay, I'm not
I
going through
can't have
that
that
again.
then.
Okay,
Can't live it again.
That damaged my ego in ways I can't explain. I actually talked to my therapist about it today.
Still resonates weeks later. Brutal.
Okay. I'm on the turn and I'm finishing out my team here. I don't want to end with animated because I want to end on a high note. So we're going to do animated right now. I wrote down a lot of animated quotes and I'm really just not feeling any of them.
Should I have ended with my Uncut Gems pick? I feel like I messed up.
Probably, yeah. If you
God
want
damn
to,
it.
Yeah, because we weren't going to take it.
God damn
Right.
it. That really could have put me out strong. I'm just realizing that now. Shoot.
this is like those House of the Dragon episodes that don't know when to end. They keep messing it up.
Here's another one.
keep-
Do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like the most iconic animated quote is on the board, and so I have to take it, and that's "To Infinity and Beyond."
To infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
From Toy Story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have I love Toy Story. I prefer Toy Story 3 over the first one, but I guess they say it in all the movies. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You want to know what
What?
Toy Story? You want to know what Toy Story movie made our collab draft? None of those.
None of those. Neither
Just
of those.
Shout out Toy Story 2. Staying strong out here. Tough
Yeah.
field.
Wow, I really regret
Toy Story.
making this category. Like, why did I do that?
You created your own fate. You brought us into this world.
I really
To be
did.
fair,
I
Toy
mean,
Story is my runner-up favorite animated movie after The Lion
Okay.
King. So
Wow.
I wouldn't
Cool,
have
okay.
I wouldn't have picked the quote, but it's my favorite or second favorite animated movie. So I'll
Okay.
appreciate it.
I feel like the people like that. It's kind of up there with
Yeah,
me. That's
it's
supposed to be with
iconic.
you, you know.
Yeah, it's got to be in the top
Really?
10-ish. Based on like how recognizable they are, I would think so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true. I'll give it to you.
Okay. And I have my wild card left. I feel like I need to do something more personal, like a quote that I personally really love, think about a lot. I have so many quotes on the board. Like, I don't know how long we're going to do honorable mentions for, but I have
I have
so
many.
many
I have
quotes.
so many. We
It's
can
actually going to be
rattle through a lot
part
of them.
part 2 of this pod. Is
Yeah,
just honorable
honestly.
mentions.
But I feel like I have to take a quote from broadcast news because it's just one of my favorite screenplays and I think it's insanely quotable. And I have like pretty basic movies on my list, so let's do something a little more personal. I'm going to take the quote, "Wouldn't this be a great world if insecurity and desperation made us more attractive, if needy were a turn on?"
Wouldn't this be a great world if insecurity and desperation made us more attractive? If needy were a turn on?
It's just a quote I think about a lot. I think it's very relatable. And I too wish that was the world we lived in. So yeah, broadcast
I
news.
would
They
have
were
stolen from you.
really
Yeah, I had one
okay.
of them written down, but I had the place near the thing quote.
Yes,
Kevin, I
great
also had that
one.
quote.
Yeah.
That was
That's
mine. I
a
had it
great
written
one.
down.
Yeah, I was prepared. I did my research into both of you. I was ready to steal some, but
Yeah.
Okay,
didn't end
that
up
was so
stealing any of
great.
them.
Yeah, I was ready to steal something from Broadcast News for sure. I thought like there's really 3 movies, and Broadcast News is the only one that's been picked so far, but like 3 where I was like, if I take something from this, I'm definitely lodging a knife in Sophie's heart. And I wanted that, but I went a different direction. Okay. Broadcast News, great movie. Thanks, Sophie, for making me watch that one time. That's cool.
Also
no
made
problem.
me watch it. So look at that.
Spreading the gospel of good cinema. Okay, I've got my animated category left. This is like really a bummer. I could have ended on some really cool shit, and I fucked it up. But I guess we'll just say what the animated quote is and just move on with our lives and be okay with that. I really only had a couple. One of them is, so we have all drafted animated. So I will say like my honorable mention was actually from Ghost in the Shell, where I was like, ooh, I can get like cinematic. That could be good instead of like sticking with Pixar. But I'm not that cool. So I'm actually going to stick with Pixar, a movie that I recently rewatched for the Pixar collab draft. From Finding Nemo, I'm going to go with a quote that I think is really, really deep and personal for me. And it seems kind of obscure to me. I don't know if it's that obscure. Oh, it's awesome, Jellyman. The little dudes are just eggs. We leave them on a beach to hatch, and then cuckoo, cuckoo, they find their way back to the big old blue.
Oh, it's awesome, Jellyman. The little dudes are just eggs. We leave them on a beach to hatch, and then cuckoo, cuckoo, they find their way back to the big old blue.
All by themselves?
Love it.
That is fucking how you do it right there.
that is good.
I read that quote earlier today, and I was like, uh-oh, like here comes a tear. This is no good. It's like, oh my God. It's insane how good that quote is.
So funny because my backup animated movie quote was Finding Nemo. But I put just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Me too.
I thought Ethan was like building up towards like making it this big thing just to say that, but then it was an actual quote.
I tried to thread the needle, between Pixar and cinematic. Tried to find what spoke to me. Obviously, being a parent myself, and recently rewatching Finding Nemo and getting to discuss it here on the Movie Draft Pod, I just didn't realize how profound that movie was in terms of like parental storyline and parental narrative. And so to read this quote, it's kind of crazy because like my daughters both just turned a year older, and like they're going off to summer camp and they're doing things now with their days where I'm just like, uh-oh, like we only have so much time. They're only 6 and 4, and I'm already like, uh-oh, this is we're on the downside here. So this to me is a really hard-hitting quote. I feel good about my team.
That's a great pick.
Great pick, Ethan. The best animated movie of all time.
Agreed. Man,
Ooh.
Ben really had our legs there. He really had us tied up and then let us loose. That was crazy.
I don't know if this makes me basic, but we checked off my 3 favorite animated movies ever. So those are the 3. So
we did.
Are we doing animated honorable mentions, or should I just get to my next pick? I
don't have anything to honorable mention.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
out.
The only honorable mention I had was They Can't Order Me to Stop Dreaming from Cinderella, which I think
I
was
like that.
a nice one. Yeah, I don't even remember it because it's been so long since I watched Cinderella, but I was looking at the quote and I was like, that's pretty neat. I was like, that's pretty good actually.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of the animated quotes I had were like more monologue-y. Like I love the
Right.
onions have layers, ogres have layers from Shrek, but that's kind of more of a monologue. And then The Incredibles, like where's my super suit?
Right.
I love that,
Yeah.
but that's again like does better with the context. So I think we hit the big ones.
My Ghost in the Shell quote was, "Your effort to remain what you are is what limits you." And I was like, damn,
Ooh, that's
good.
a really good quote.
I like
That's a
that.
good quote. Yeah, pretty sick movie too. So okay.
Okay, I gotta finish it out here. So in action horror comedy, I am so stuck between a few options because they're in 3 different genres, and I don't, like it's like these are all very different in tone. Two of them are really iconic though, and I feel like I have to pick one of those because my team needs quote recognition. I don't know if we have a lot of it. I think the Aaron Brockovich quote kind of took away from my quote recognition.
Mm.
So I'm gonna pick the one from the movie I like more, and I'm gonna do from the horror movie Scream. Now, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Now, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Which
love
probably my favorite horror movie quote.
So good.
My backup option was or not my backup, the one I was picking between was the Tears in the Rain from Blade Runner, but which is probably more iconic and probably would have gotten more votes, but Scream is the better movie. Sorry, you got to make decisions
Agreed.
at some point.
That's a good
so, wild card. Oh man, I could even do a full circle back to the Insider quote if I really wanted to.
You know my
but-
stance on that. I say send it.
Yeah. I could also just pick that Blade Runner quote. Man, there are like some really, really good ones. I'm not actually sure.
I love how
Wow.
we all started talking strategy in the beginning, and we're like, wouldn't be that outlandish to pick wild card first, and then we all ended up picking it last or almost last.
Yeah,
The nature of
because I
wild
just
card.
because my wild card I'm just pulling from the other categories,
Yeah.
like my leftover quotes from the other categories. So I guess it does make sense for it to go last. But I just couldn't even begin to decide which one of these to pick because I have so many good options left over. I'm gonna. Oh man. Okay. I'll pick. I'll pick a Kevin quote that may or may not lose me the draft. But it's my favorite probably. I'm gonna go with the movie Clue, and I'm gonna take communism was just a red herring.
It is political. You're a communist.
No, Mr. Green. Communism is just a red herring.
Wow, nice. I've
I
never
don't know
seen
if that was
Clue.
the smart pick, but
Is
Clue
Clue good?
is the single funniest movie I've ever seen in my life. Which I don't know if my humor really matches up with a lot of people's, and I know it doesn't match up with Sophie's because she doesn't like the movie. But also, I believe Sophie is one of many people who think that Knives Out is better than Clue, which is
Absolutely.
I'll say it on air, a ridiculous opinion to have. Just like one of the worst opinions I've ever seen. But it's okay. Maybe other people will back up the quote more than Sophie would.
I've added a few to the watch list from this pod, so I feel like that if anything is to take away, I think Kevin that you brought a nice
Just wait till the honorable mentions.
nice cinematic texture. Okay, we have completed the draft. We will do a short round of honorable mentions each, but let's run through our teams. Kevin, I'll have you start. If you want to do the category, the movie, and then the quote that you chose.
Sweet. Okay. So in animated, I have The Lion King, and I did, oh yes, the past can hurt, but from the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. In screenplay nominee, I took Aaron Brockovich, and I picked That's All You Got, Lady, Two Wrong Feet and Fucking Ugly Shoes. For blockbuster, I picked Jurassic Park, and it is No, I'm Simply Saying That Life Finds a Way. For drama, I picked In a Lonely Place, and the quote is, I was born when she kissed me, I died when she left me, I lived a few weeks while she loved me. For action horror comedy, I took Scream, and the quote is, now Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. And for wild card, I picked Clue, and the quote is, communism was just a red herring.
Pretty good. I would say like pretty Kevin core, which is
Yeah.
a good, like a good energy to bring. Nice. Okay.
That's what the people say.
Let's see. I've got my team here. In animated, I went with Finding Nemo. I said, oh, it's awesome. Jellyman, the little dudes are just eggs. We leave them on a beach to hatch, and then cuckoo cuckoo, they find their way back to the big old blue. I feel like that is about the limit for a quote. So I feel like I kind of took advantage here, which I feel good about. For screenplay nominee, I went with Past Lives. You make my world so much bigger, and I'm wondering if I do the same for you. In blockbuster, I went with Star Wars: A New Hope. May the Force be with you. In drama, I went with Casablanca, a movie that I'm probably the biggest fan of here on the show, I would say, out of the three of us. If there had to be one person.
Wow.
You're just like shaking your head with no speech.
Wow.
It's really good pod content.
I know.
I went with Casablanca. We'll Always Have Paris. An action horror comedy, I went with Heat. The action is the juice. And in wild card, I went with Uncut Gems. Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
You ended it with that one that time.
Yeah, you got it. You got it
Doesn't
there.
it feel a lot better to do it
It
last?
feels
Dramatic effect.
so much better when that's the last one. It feels like I could just like punch a hole in a wall right now. It feels so good.
Okay. All right, my team. In animated, I took To Infinity and Beyond from Toy Story. In screenplay nominee, I took Sorry, My Prada's at the Cleaners, along with My Hoodie and My Fuck You Flip-Flops, You Pretentious Douchebag from Social Network. In blockbuster, I took Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli from The Godfather. In drama, I took I Drink Your Milkshake from There Will Be Blood. In action horror comedy, you know I'm something of a scientist myself from Spider-Man. And my wild card pick was from Broadcast News, and it's Wouldn't This Be a Great World if insecurity and desperation made us more attractive, if needy were a turn on?
Pretty, again, like real Sophie core. I feel good about your team, Sophie. You feel good about it?
I do too. I feel very good. Also, I just noticed that 4 out of my 6 could have been in screenplay Oscar nom. So,
oh, interesting.
I was sticking with.
I could have
those
done a whole
nominated
draft
films.
of screenplay Oscar noms.
Yeah.
Probably. There's a lot of good ones.
Speaking of, I think, Kevin, I think the last episode you were on for, we did original screenplay draft, and we purposefully decided to save adapted for another future episode. So maybe we put that on the calendar. Maybe we get back to that. Kevin, I'll let you start. If you've got some honorable mentions, obviously I think all of us probably could have gone like at least 6 more each. Like, I think this is a very deep draft. And unfortunately, Ben couldn't join us for the draft. He's still suffering from Las Vegas voice, so he couldn't quite make it here on the show. And we didn't have any luck finding a fourth in such short notice. But I think this would have made a really fun mega draft as well. I think it would have been really interesting to see people's takes, 6 people deep. But Kevin, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have so many, so I'll try to like do this as quickly as I can and maybe skip over a few. The one I was really close to picking just for votes was from Silence of the Lambs. A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice
so good.
I had that too.
I mean, the blockbuster from pick from Harry Potter that I was so close to taking was "Not My Daughter, You Bitch," which is my favorite line.
Oh, that's
in
good.
all of Harry Potter, and like kind of the most iconic moment in the entire franchise.
That's good.
I like in comedy. Kind of would have picked a super bad quote because I think it's the most quotable movie ever, but I thought it was a little too basic, maybe a little too me. I would, I think Sophie knows this because we texted about it, but I would have picked the Jules. The funny thing about my back is that it's located on my cock. Best quote in the whole movie. Man on Fire has like 500 great quotes. I don't know if you have seen Man on Fire, but there's one where they say a man can be an artist in anything, food, whatever. It depends on how good he is at it. Creasy's art is death. He's about to paint his masterpiece. Kind of the most badass quote ever.
I've never seen Man on Fire, but I'm fucking locked in based on that quote. That's
one
unreal.
Of the best movies you
it's
will
unreal.
ever watch. There's like 60 quotes just like that one. Like it doesn't stop. From V for Vendetta, people should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of their people. Kind of rocks. Iconic quote, I see dead people from The Sixth Sense.
Yep.
Of course. I thought you were going to take that.
Yeah. If I wanted to go like feels a little bit, I was going to do I Can't Beat It from Manchester by the Sea. But I don't know if people would have went with that one. Also, I think it's nice that we share the same sky from After Sun. Another emotional, little string pull. I could have done like 500 quotes from 10 Things I Hate About You because it's my favorite movie. But again, probably too basic. You're Tearing Me Apart from Rebel Without a Cause. And then I'm a dog chasing cars quote from The Dark Knight would have been a pick in action because, I mean, come on.
Some really, really good ones. Sophie, do you have any honorable mentions?
I have so many. I really tried to stay away from movies that I talk about repeatedly. So just know that I have a lot of Marriage Story quotes, a lot of Bastards quotes.
Right.
Oppenheimer,
I'm surprised
Lady
those
Bird.
those are the two that I'm really surprised you didn't pick. I thought like
Yeah.
I had a Marriage Story quote, I had 2 Bastards quotes, and I was like, this would be my Sophie dig, but you didn't even go
Yeah.
to that well.
I thought
I
we might
took-
get an I Am Become Death from Oppenheimer. I thought that was like
I thought since I picked all of those movies in the screenplay draft that I should maybe like stray away from those this time.
Probably a
But
good
yeah,
idea.
just of course those are my favorite movies, so of course I have favorite quotes from them. But a couple that I had, I really wanted to take a Quentin Tarantino film, of course, but I really like You Shoot Me in a Dream, You Better Wake Up and Apologize from Reservoir Dogs. I really like this quote from The Worst Person in the World, which is I feel like a spectator in my own life, like I'm playing a supporting role in my own life.
I also had a quote from that film. That's unreal.
So quotable. Great film.
Such a good movie.
I had a couple Dazed and Confused quotes. I think The Princess Bride is like one of the most quotable films ever, but a lot of them, again, like you kind of need the context. In action horror comedy, I was gonna take Not Many People Have Basements in California from Zodiac.
Oh, damn, that would have been good. I would have handed you the dove. I would have been like, shit.
like that is like such a context quote though, but anybody
Yeah.
who has seen that movie would
Exactly.
vote for it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate like real ones know situation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ethan sent me a meme earlier and I thought it was like a nod to the draft we were doing, which is I cannot begin my day with a confrontation, please, from Phantom Thread. So
I didn't even think about it on that level. We're two different
Thread's
people.
very quotable as well.
So quotable. There's so many good ones
Wow.
in there. Yeah. I could go on, but
yeah,
sure.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I obviously I feel like there's a ton to go through. I'm surprised also that you didn't pick anything from When Harry Met Sally. I had a couple on there as well.
I had that written down also.
Same.
I feel the need for speed from Top Gun. I'll Be Back from the Terminator. Obviously, I think are two like really, really popular ones. In Blockbuster, literally the only one I had written down in Blockbuster until I pivoted was I'm King of the World from Titanic. I thought it would have been nice to have Titanic on here. Obviously, I think next up really on my list was You Can Handle the Truth from A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad that I didn't get to pick that one. And then there were a couple that were more of like core Ethan picks that this one would have been pushing it just a little bit, but I'm curious if you guys would have accepted it based on length. From Boogie Nights, You're not the boss of me, Jack. You're not the king of Dirk. I'm the boss of me. I'm the king of me. I'm Dirk Diggler. I'm the star. It's my big dick. And I say when we roll. That's fucking
let it slide.
All timer right there. Same thing like from Boogie Nights. I got a feeling that behind those jeans is something wonderful just waiting to get out. That's incredible shit. I had The Truman Show, Good Morning, and In Case I Don't See You, Good Afternoon, Good Evening, and Good Night. I think that's like truly iconic that went undrafted. A couple more. There was one, and I'm not sure, Sophie, if you had anticipated me trying to bring this in. I'll probably have to do it on the monologues draft, but obviously they knew the whole time from Spotlight.
Yep.
I knew you were going to mention
I just felt like I was pushing the boundaries a little too much on that one.
I also wrote Spotlight down to steal it from you as well. I really checked like all my bases.
I mean, if people are still listening to this draft, they're probably really surprised I went 87 minutes before mentioning Spotlight on a quotes draft. But I felt like it was a little bit long personally. And then I think two more that I want to call out. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Even though you have broken my heart yet again, I wanted to say in another life, I would have really liked to do Laundry and Taxes with you. Even though Everything Everywhere went through the Twitter sphere ringer and kind of came out on the other side, I don't really know. Like, I still think that quote is sensational. I still think like that is, people still hold on to that.
Totally.
The other one that I was considering instead of Past Lives was from Before Sunset, Baby, You're Gonna Miss That Plane. I think
I had that written down as well.
Me too.
one of the
course.
greatest final lines of a movie maybe ever.
Yeah.
And I think like again another situation of like real ones know. Like if you read that, you're like, oh fuck, like Before Sunset, goddamn. Like, you know, it's just like evokes how good that movie is. Damn. Yeah, I feel like we could have gone for a lot of rounds, and I feel like this would have been fun. Maybe we revisit this in the future. Get a quotes mega draft. Maybe everything drafted today goes off the board, and we just do a continual revisit. I don't know.
I'd be down.
I don't know.
I'm so game for it.
We'll see what the future holds. Big thank you to Kevin for joining us on the draft. Kevin, thanks so much, dude. If people want to find more of you, where can they find you at?
Yeah, I am K Meeks Film on probably every platform. And I'm also a co-host of the Looks Like a Movie podcast, which comes out on Tuesdays, same day as this podcast. So if you want to go listen to that after and you like listening to me, you can listen to my two slightly more annoying co-hosts, but with better taste than I have. And maybe you'll enjoy that. No, but thank you guys so much for letting me come on a second time. This is awesome.
That's actually anytime I'm a guest on another pod, that's how I describe Ben and Sophie. Like if you want to go check out them, the slightly annoying, more annoying people than me.
I said with better taste.
Yeah, that's true. Little positive thrown in there. Sophie, thanks for co-hosting with me. I appreciate it.
Of course. This was so fun.
You're just such a wonderful person to talk movies with. It really just makes my heart sore. I got to be honest with you. So you're wonderful. Even though you're cooler than me, it's okay because I think I'm going to come out. I think I'm going to come out with the win on this draft. If anything does me in, it's holy shit, I'm going to come. But again, like real ones know. They are going to see that quote and put up a vote is what's going to happen. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Movie Draft Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes will be released weekly on Tuesdays. We'll see you then.